Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. Let's get started with our hosts, Linda McKissack and Dana Gentry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. I'm Linda McKissack.
And I'm Dana Gentry.
So, Dana, we're on how many days now cocooned in our homes?
Oh, let's see. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, like 11 maybe or so?
11. It's I'm really, the hardest thing for me right now is the social distancing from my refrigerator. How about you?
Mine is, I'm going to be honest, my biggest thing right now is social distancing from my nephew. They're not letting me see Graham.
Oh, that's terrible.
I know. My brother said earlier, well, you could come over and we could see each other in the backyard. I'm like, yeah, that's a freaking lot of fun. I was mad.
No, because you're going to want to touch him and hold him and squeeze him.
I know.
That's awesome. Well, I'm super excited today. Why don't you introduce our guest?
Yes, I'm so excited. Okay, so I've been secretly kind of stalking Traci for a while now, and we thought she'd be somebody great for our listeners, especially with everything kind of going on right now. So we have Traci Morrow on. Thank you, Traci. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah. You want to kick us off by just giving us a little background? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, a little bit about me. I am cooped up in a house in Southern California. I live in Los Angeles, and I'm actually kind of enjoying it, to be honest. I am an extroverted introvert, so I recharge alone. People are always surprised to find that because I'm a big talker, but I really do recharge alone. So having little moments of alone time are kind of nice and slowing the pace. I am a mom of 6. So a slow pace is a beautiful thing to me. Most of my kids are grown, but they all live close by. And if any of you have adult kids, then you know that they are done being raised when they hit 18, but that's when mentoring and the deep dive, the deep dive of mentorship really begins. And so sometimes I feel like it's easier to have a toddler or a school-age child because you can tell them what to do and they have to obey.
So true.
So my husband, Casey, and I have been married for 30 years this year. We'll celebrate our anniversary. Hopefully we'll be out and get to go somewhere to celebrate, but that's okay if we stay in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we have 6 kids. Like I said, 4 of them are biological. Our youngest 2 are adopted from Ethiopia. And so we have experienced all sorts of things in the family realm. And I really started when I was 21, I had my first baby at 22. When I was 21, someone told me to listen to John Maxwell. And so that is really what began my journey of inviting a mentor into my life and understanding that growth doesn't happen unless you grow on purpose. Mm-hmm. And so I really dove into that and used a lot of his stuff. If you've never listened to him, I highly recommend.
Our people probably do because we talk about him all the time.
I love that. That's so good. But I just highly recommend it because he's a voice of reason. Boy, he's been doing some live Facebook podcasts or live Facebook live streams during this whole pandemic, and it's been a lifeblood. So I used it to raise my kids. I ran church ministry. I started my own home fitness business with Team Beachbody in 2006. But I've been with the company since 2003. So I love to help people with health and wellness and living what I say are their own great story. And so I was blessed to be able through Beachbody. It's like John Maxwell prepared me to start my own business with Team Beachbody. And then through Team Beachbody, I was able to meet John and he started mentoring me personally starting in 2013. And
wow.
So it has been a joy for me. I feel like it's, being mentored by him personally is sort of like drinking from a fire hose. But I love it. I love that. I love being challenged. I love being pushed and I love growing at hyper speed. And now we have a lot of time on our hands with this being home. So grow.
Yeah.
Well, Dana, I just want to say the audience cannot see Traci, but oh my gosh, you look amazing for grown kids.
I know.
I just want to, whatever secret sauce you have, that's what we want.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I said I've been stalking her secretively.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
I always say my kids make me feel 100, but they also keep me young. It's like this push and pull.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's something about when you have young kids, you forget your age. You don't start thinking about your age until your kids get grown and move out. At least that's been my experience.
Yeah.
I have a
That's
question.
true.
What is Home Beachbody Business? What does that look like?
A Home Beachbody Business, it's a network marketing. They were just an infomercial company, and that's how I found them and started working with their lead and founding trainer, Tony Horton.
Mhm.
And I just love Tony. He's the guy who created P90X. And so Casey and I, my husband Casey and I, got great results. Yes, so we are Casey and Tracy, if you heard that. A lot of people are
I love
like, so cute.
That
And,
is cute.
but so Casey and I got great results with that, and we figured out that the company was close by. We won a contest and for our results, and that's where we met our CEO Carl Deichler, who's a great leader, and then Tony. And Tony and I started working. We had a great synergy, and so when Carl made the infomercial company into a network marketing company, I was one of their founding coaches. And so I've developed an international team in the US, Canada, and the UK. And I just love helping people. I mean, at the root of it, I would have never pegged myself as a network marketing person. In fact, when he asked me, I said no 4 times over the course of a year before he was finally like, okay, please just give this a year. And if you don't like it, then I'll hire you back for the company. Just give it your all for a year. And so I thought, okay, I'll give it my all for a year. And so there we were off and running. And what I love the most about it, although I never would have pegged myself for a network marketer, I do love people. And when I believe in something, it's very easy for me to talk about it. And so, no matter what it is, whether it becomes an income or not. So that was the nice fit for me. I really love helping someone put tools into their hands so they can empower themselves to take back their health. Because every person, no matter what their career is, no matter how high they've climbed and how much success they have, every single person stands alone, naked in their bathroom, getting in and out of the shower. And there's those moments of like, I need to do something. And that's the most human connection to me, is that we all just want to live at our best so that we can play with our kids and one day play with our grandkids and live a full, rich life. So that's what I really love, is helping people discover how it's really easy to eat healthy. It's really actually easy. Yes, take it from a busy mom who runs a business and has raised 6 kids. It's actually easy. It just takes the discipline to learn it. And that's what I love doing, is helping people unlock that.
Awesome. So tell us kind of what your health regimen looks like from a person who really helps other people understand it, and what does it look like for you?
Yeah, I love that we are synergistic in that, Linda. For me, that it looks different each year because it has to stay fresh for me. But what I love about Beachbody is because they have so many trainers and so many different kind of workouts, you really can do a dancey workout, then you can do a kickboxy workout, and then you can do something where you're like pushing and lifting weights. And then, so I love that part of it for keeping it fresh. But my routine is basically, I wake up. I've never been a person, this stay at home in the pandemic. For a lot of people, they're freaking out because they're working at home. And I've never had a problem. It's just my personality. When you love what you do, it's you get up and you go to work in your home. And so I get up, I make my bed. First thing I tell everybody when they start working at home, get up and make your bed and put your clothes on. And then the second thing I say, which is kind of tagging into that, even though I said put your clothes on, the second thing is put your clothes on. But for women, it all comes down to what bra you put on. You might be wait, what? This is supposed to be a professional call. But if you work from home and you put on your sports bra and then you put on whatever you're going to wear, you are way more, I don't know the statistic, but I'll tell you, you are way more apt to get your workout in than if you just put on your regular clothes.
God, that's so true.
So true.
So it all comes down to the bra that you put on first thing in that morning. Make your bed and put on your sports bra and put on your clothes. And I always made the thing like I don't shower until I've got my workout in. And so I get up, I make my bed, I get my clothes on, I come out and I read my Bible. I'm a person of faith. And then I read some sort of a personal development book or listen to it on Audible. I'm an auditory learner, so taking notes works for me. And I write my notes. I know I've tried doing it on my iPad, but I don't retain the information as well as when I write it. Do you guys have that? I don't know if it's I don't know if it's a generation or if there's actually a correlation between writing something with your hand and how you retain that in your brain. I don't know. That's something interesting. But
yeah, I do. We use that app Good Notes where you write it in the app on your iPad and
yeah,
then you can save them. So I don't know. I like that one, but I think I agree. I have to write.
yeah. And you know what I'm just learning that I'm realizing I have a very old iPad. Mine is like a dinosaur iPad. There's no capabilities to write on it. Anyway, so I get up and I spend that time. I take some notes and think about it. And then usually, because I have young kids, that's usually I wake up about 5:15, 5:30. My teenagers, the youngest two kids who are at home, are in 8th and 9th grade. So they're getting up around 7. So I try to get the lion's share of that done before 7. In years past, I've gotten my workout in first thing so that when they get up at 7, I hop into the shower while they're getting their morning routine. Mm-hmm. And so by the time I take them, deliver them to their schools, I sit down to work and I already feel accomplished. I know John Maxwell will say, you want to get an easy win. That's an easy win for me. I don't have it hanging over my head all day. Now, as I've gotten older and I've been doing this, almost 20 years, I'm kind of in a new thing where I like to get up and spend a little bit more time reading and processing what I'm reading, then take the kids and then come back and work out maybe sometime before lunch. Mm-hmm. And it's enough of a routine now that I don't worry about myself falling off track. But before it was a routine, I really needed to teach myself and train myself to make that a part of my day.
Yeah.
When it's perfect timing with everything going on. I know I have a Peloton at home and I have a full gym. Not that the full gym is helping me, because without a trainer, I won't go lift those weights. Right. I might try the Peloton's workout or something, or maybe I'll pull out my old Beachbody. I'm sure I got it somewhere and bought them all.
Yeah.
Now's the perfect time to have that kind of stuff at home, because you can't go to the gyms.
Absolutely. And I realize that there are people, like I said, I'm an extroverted introvert. And I live in LA. So to drive to the closest gym, we're talking just the driving time is a huge time suck for me. So working out at home makes sense to me. Mm-hmm. It works for my schedule, but I realize that home fitness is not for everybody, that they love the gym, the social aspect of the gym. But now more than ever, especially in this pandemic, it's nice to have the variety of having some home workouts and some new things to try. As a matter of fact, one of the guys who's in my business with me, he said, "Hey, let's do a live workout together." So we're going to get onto Zoom, and on a different on our iPad or our phone or whatever, we're going to call up our workout, and then we'll talk to everybody with we'll pull our clients in, and then mute everyone so we can not hear each other's workouts, but work out together doing all of our different programs. So yeah. There is a way that you can bring definitely a social component into home fitness. And that is really that's the piece I bring.
I've been seeing a ton of people working out, doing the Zoom workouts and stuff. I think that's really super cool. You said something, Traci, yesterday when we talked that I wanted to pick your brain about a little bit, just kind of regarding mindset. But you said you're not naturally a worrier because you logically walk yourself out of a fear or something. Will you talk a little bit about that? Because I just thought that was really neat.
Yeah, I'm happy to. It's something that's being challenged right now for sure. And so I don't know about you, but I am a big fan of therapy. And so we have, raising our kids at different times, we've had a family therapist who has worked with each of our kids and with my husband and I. When you just hit a block and you would like a voice of wisdom, she's trustworthy. We love her. She gives solid advice. And so she's one who has helped me in this challenge, because I am somebody who doesn't necessarily worry. It's not something I really try to do. I just have this mental, a lot of things that you do are intuitive, that you don't even realize that you do it. It's just something you've learned. It's a coping skill. And so one of the things that I do is I just logically think through, this isn't going to last forever. There's, I have claustrophobia. So logically, I will walk myself through, there is plenty of air circulating in this elevator, in this plane. I can just blow the little fan on me. There's plenty of air to be had. Logically, just walking myself through in the basic little things. But in this time, I feel like that's really been challenged. And I think it's deep down, there's a fear that I haven't really even maybe acknowledged, because I don't usually go to fear. And so I'm finding at night, a little bit of an anxiousness. And so I've been practicing one of the techniques that she's given me that isn't necessarily thinking it through. because the thinking is what's getting me stuck now. So it's not working for me. The logical thinking is not still like logic tells me statistics and facts and, oh no, that some of it doesn't look so great. And so that gets a little bit more fearful when I can't circle myself around back to it's going to be okay. And so I've just been doing some things, some breathing techniques and some things that she has taught me to kind of, we call it resourcing. And so just the other night, I'll just be vulnerable to share that the other night I started to feel like I was going to have a panic attack or something. I just felt like my heart racing and I wasn't thinking about anything. I wasn't looking at the news. And Casey said, remember to resource. And resource for us, what we've just learned is just to think of a time or a place where you're one of the most pleasant places that you can be, and try and check in and think physically how you feel about that. Like, is the sun on your face? Is the breeze blowing? Is it nice and breezy and airy? Are you in a wide open space? And so what does your body feel in that? And then just naturally, as you start to think about those things, your breathing regulates because you're thinking of pleasant thoughts. And so that has been, Dana and I were talking about the other day, because I was saying these are just all new times and we're having to learn how to navigate in very new times. And sometimes it takes getting some new tools.
Yes, I love that. And thanks for being vulnerable, because I'm sure a lot of people could use that right now. And so much of what happens is where our mind goes.
Absolutely.
And I think it's harder when you are cooped up in your house than when you're out and you're busy and, you're doing a bunch of different things. Your mind sometimes doesn't even have the chance to go to those places. But yeah.
And the other thing is, truthfully, I had to do a couple things, self-care hacks, if you will. And that is, I didn't realize, and that's probably just because I'm an older person and not as tech savvy. My adult kids teach me so many things, but like on my phone, when you have news apps, and I have several news apps all collected in one little box. So it'll say news and all the different. So what I realized is when you download those apps, they just come with alerts. So I would be like maybe doing something and talking to my group in my group app for my work, and would pop up, a news alert would pop up, and 3 different stations with their different versions of it. And so what I was finding is a lot of alerts were happening to me that were kind of interjecting into my day all day long, peppering in negativity.
Yeah.
And I loved that, John said the other day, and a lot of it is, it's I know this in real time, in real life, like life before the coronavirus. I would say, you be careful about who you allow to speak into your world, into your mind, into your thinking. And so I always taught my kids, if the president is talking, if the governor's talking, if somebody who is sharing key information is doing a video, watch it live. Don't watch what reporters their takeaways are. Watch it and discern it for yourself, and don't listen to the noise of whatever news agency is giving you their opinions mixed in with their spin on things. And so I just kind of got out of the habit so quickly, because it's fascinating to track this virus and what's happening in the world. And so I went to my phone and I turned off all of my alerts. And John Maxwell said on his live stream about leading through crisis, he said, listen to the 2 best actual news fact places to go are the WHO.int, the World Health Organization, WHO.int as in Tom, and then also CDC.gov. And those are the 2 places that are giving real-time, real information facts and no opinions. And so but the one thing that the WHO website said, the World Health Organization said, for your mental health, only look at the news 1 time per day, maybe twice, and then be careful about what you're looking at. Since I have done that, I feel like a new person, because in my home, I'm social distancing, I'm self-quarantining, I'm doing all the safe things. I don't need to know about the scary things that are happening out there, as long as me at home, that I'm taking the right steps. I'm telling you, my mind has calmed so much.
Yeah, that's great advice, because it repeats the same thing over and over all day long. So a lot of the alerts I've noticed are stuff that I already know, but now I got to read it again because it's come across as an alert.
Yeah.
And you're right. You're reading it from multiple sources, and it can be the same news, but it's being portrayed in all different ways depending on who you're reading it from.
And it can be one statistic and it'll say, are you at risk? I mean, just that statement alone makes me go, am I? I am at risk. We're all at risk of something, but it's just better for me to know I'm doing everything that I can. I am being very cautious and careful and clean and distanced and all that stuff.
Yeah.
All the stuff we can control. Okay.
That's right.
So I got to know, I'm going to ask very personal questions. So
Okay.
what did you eat yesterday? What'd your day of eating look like yesterday? You look
Oh my gosh, what did I eat?
Good question.
That is a great question.
I didn't prep her for that.
No, I kind of like that. Yeah, it's all of life. So I woke up and had a ho-ho, and then I had a Slurpee. Just kidding.
Oh, I love you. And you look great. How come when I eat a ho-ho and a Slurpee, I don't look like that?
I am kidding. I can just smell it and I feel like my body puts on weight. So yesterday I woke up and I had a Chobani. Do you know Chobani? I might be pronouncing
Yogurt.
It's a Greek yogurt and it comes in a little container. And I think I had that and some all natural or gluten-free granola on top. And I put in a few little 50% less sugar craisins because I love the taste of those craisins.
I love them in salads.
So I just put a little of those sprinkled in just for a little sweet kind of tangy burst. I had that, and then I had a coffee. My husband and I go for a walk. Since he's home working now, we wake up early and we go for a walk together and get a coffee and walk back. So we're connecting every day. And so I had my coffee, which is just I get a blonde roast and I get an extra shot put in, and I use regular milk only because I love that old flavor of a coffee. And so then I had my yogurt, and then for my snack, I think yesterday I missed a snack, and that's not good. Normally, what I'll do is I'll have like I get some good lunch meat or that's no nitrates or anything, the turkey or whatever, shaved turkey breast, and maybe some gluten-free crackers and some cottage cheese. I'll dip the crackers in the cottage cheese and have that. And then for lunch, I had my shake. Our company has a great meal replacement shake. It's just one meal replaced a day with a shake, which works for me and gives me energy and has a bunch of boosts in it, health boosts. So I had that for lunch. And then for dinner,
would you do an afternoon snack or no?
I would do an afternoon snack. I think yesterday, truth be told, I think I was so on my computer that I didn't eat as well, which is not good for me. And then I had for dinner, normally for lunch, I have the same snacks. I just have a whole list of snacks that are like apples dipped in almond butter or crackers and lunch meat and cottage cheese. I really love cottage cheese, or an orange. Too. An orange and cottage cheese, or those little cutie tangerines. I love it.
You had everything but the bagel seasoning, by the way, from Trader Joe's?
I have. And for some reason, no, not for some reason. I have big teeth, but there's like, they trap all the seeds from that. You could just go, oh, did you have
that too? But it is so good. It's like my favorite thing on cottage cheese.
My daughter loves that too, but does it have gluten in it? Because I had thyroid cancer and had my thyroid removed.
Oh.
And I noticed that my body does not regulate. It doesn't process through when I have any kind of gluten. It's not that it does anything dangerous to me. It just, I can tell I get bloaty and weird. My body does weird things. So I wonder if it has. I'll have to look it up. But then for dinner, I just had leftover I made some super lean ground beef to taco meat. And then I Google up on Pinterest or whatever, a homemade seasoning to go on it with all the stuff from whatever seasonings I have up there. And then I just made a big salad. So I did a bunch of romaine lettuce and tomato and onion and threw that in and some little bit of avocado and taco sauce and stirred that up. And then I like a little dessert. So last night I had, sometimes I'll have like 20 pieces of those little, a serving of it. It's like, I love black licorice. And so they're like little licorice nibs or something. So they're tiny, like a jelly bean almost. And so it's like 15 of them or 20 of them. I think it's 15.
Would you actually count the 15 out?
I have once before. I counted it out and then I looked at about what it looked like in my hand. So from that point on, I go to about that. It's the same thing with a glass of wine. If I have a glass of wine, I'm like, okay, what's a 6 ounce glass and what's a 9 ounce glass? So I'll like pour it into a measuring cup. I know that's ridiculous. I know that's too much.
You know what? None of this shocks me. We had Chantel Ray on our podcast as a guest. I do intermittent fasting, and I try to teach the world to make the world do it.
Oh, I do like that.
I love intermittent fasting. But anyway, because here's the thing. Everything you just described, I personally could not do. And we're going to have my genetics doctor come on in a few weeks, and I'm going to make him, because I tell everybody about my appetite gene, I'm going to make him talk about my appetite gene. So Dana, get ready. You're going to
I'm pretty sure I have it too. So I'm excited.
But what I love is Chantel Ray has like interviewed thousands of thin women, and every one of them would pretty much describe exactly what Traci has described as her typical day of eating. And it looks nothing like my typical day of eating. There's the problem. But anyway, left to my own accord with intermittent fasting, it'll look a lot better. But anyway, so I love this because that is, you can tell that's just so natural and so easy for you.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, Dana, do you think you and I'd even forget to have a snack if we were going to have? I would not forget. There's no way I'd forget my snack.
I'm so bad. I love to eat. So that's my problem.
Fasting, and I know the window's closed. If I was eating 6 times a day, I would count them out and make sure I had every single one and would not miss one.
You know what though, Linda, when you say that, like when you say, the intermittent fasting, I've done it before, and I really do like it because I do get in the zone and I forget to eat. And Casey always
do it a little bit naturally sometimes too.
Yeah, I have for sure. Definitely. And so, but it's like, what do you eat then when you finally do eat? If you're not intermittent fasting on purpose, then it's a lot of carb loading because you get the shakes but I'm an 8 on the Enneagram. And I don't know if you know the Enneagram at all.
3, and you're a 3, Dana, right?
Yeah, we're both 3 8s.
You know what? I'm 8-3, almost neck and neck. But where it comes down to is understanding what's your core fear, and I identify far more with the 8's core fear versus 3. The 3 core fear. I don't know if you've done this on your show already.
No,
so,
we need to get that person, whoever that person is.
Yeah.
You know what? My daughter is so good at this. I'm always like, what is this again? But she is a 3. The core fear is not being the best. And I don't identify with that as much as 8. I do. I want to do the best and my best, but 8's core fear is being controlled. And that I completely identify with. And so having something that's out of my control, not having options, not being able to have a choice in something. And so that's the one piece of intermittent fasting that really tramples a little bit on my control, lack of control. Like if I want something at 11 a.m. and I'm not supposed to break it until noon or whatever, that's when I start bargaining.
Yeah. Well, also part of intermittent fasting too is when you eat, it's eating within an hour and a half and completely stopping. So you actually probably do it in the fact that when you eat, you don't go keep snacking the rest of the day.
No, I'm not a snacker.
Whatever that is, and then you just stop. Which
interesting.
What time do you eat dinner?
Usually 7.
Okay. Yeah.
7 p.m. And then then what I do is, and I started to say, and I want to come clean because I don't want to make myself sound better than I am. I do like a little dessert. I never did when I was younger. I always was really drawn to salty, but since I hit menopause, I like a little sweet. I've developed, what did you say? An appetite gene?
Appetite gene.
Is that a real thing?
It is a real thing. I swear, when my genetic doctor comes on here I think we're going to interview him on Friday. I'm going to make him explain it. Actually,
I can't wait.
Traci, you're going to love this. You have fitness genes. I'll ask him about those too. You have fitness genes that determine the best way for you to work out, like the way you are genetically. And I believe so much of what's best for each of us health-wise is wired in genetically already.
Interesting.
And so when you trace it back and you kind of see where you genetically came from. But anyway, I'll ask him all these great questions on Friday, Dana. We'll have to remember.
Yeah. That's fascinating.
For some people, they could sit in front of food and just never start. And some people have a gene for when they start, they literally just don't want to stop. It's pretty interesting.
That is interesting.
I'll try to make
I never liked sweets before, and I feel like hormonally that was something that changed. So like we get those Skinny Cow ice cream sandwiches. So I'll like a Skinny Cow ice cream sandwich. They're like 120 calories, 130 calories or something like that. But then what I'll do is I will floss my teeth, because that to me signifies mentally, that just is a brain trigger. And I started that a long time ago when I was trying to lose weight and I was not restricting, but trying to eat 1,600 calories 5 times, broken up into 5 times a day. I would floss and then bleach my teeth. That was like, and it signified to my brain, like I stopped craving something, and I would drink water and do other things. But anyway.
Yeah.
I love that. And you've kind of mentioned a couple of times, and remember the Profit First guy, Dana, he said this, these little habits that you do are so important. Those work for me. I don't know if you've ever followed Gretchen Rubin at all, but she talks about the different types of people we are. Like some of us are rebels and some of us are, I can't remember all of them, but it really does make a difference in sometimes those little hacks will work for you based on who you are. And I noticed you said you got up and put a sports bra on rather than a regular bra, and you put out your workout clothes. That works for me also.
Yeah.
And Mike said when we interviewed him, he puts his running shoes on the toilet. So I did kind of challenge him a little bit and go, well, what about that 2 a.m. got to go to the bathroom? I'm not going to run at 2 a.m. But his policy is, I guess he waits till 6, I don't know, or 5.
Yeah.
But he goes, and immediately the minute he goes to the bathroom, he puts those shoes on, the running shoes on. So I love that you kind of put some little hacks that really seem to help you trigger your brain.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. So what are some of your favorite books you've read?
Oh my goodness. Favorite books. I would say I love John Maxwell's The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Was a game changer for me. Life altering, mindset altering.
Yeah.
I love Lisa TerKeurst, Your Best Yes.
Oh, I love her.
I love that book. Let's see. I loved Bill Hybels had a book from way long time ago called Who You Are When No One's Looking.
Oh, I love him too, but I don't know that I've read that.
Yeah,
I love his book called Walk Across the Room.
Yes, or his book Simplify.
Simplify is what I've read. Yeah,
Simplify is a great book too. I'm trying to think of. Gosh, don't you know when you just
when you need to.
When your brain goes dead. I loved Bob Goff's Love Does. I don't know if you got a chance to read that book. It just really simplified the message of what we're here to do, and in a funny way. That book, not too often do I read a book where I howl out loud, like just bust up out loud.
He's just funny in general, though. I mean, he could say anything and be funny.
He really is. And then some other books that I love that are Bible study books for those of you who are Bible studiers or readers. Beth Moore had some books called like by theme. So there was like Paul and David and Jesus. And there was one other one. Who was it? Maybe it was like the patriarchs, because I love Old Testament. Mm-hmm. And so just seeing, I feel like as a mom of 6 and kids, my kids are wonderful and awesome, and I love them to bits. I love the humans that they are, but man, they just had pretty much every trauma and crisis that teenagers have and go through. And it's funny to laugh about it now, but boy, we went through the ringer as parents who have had teenagers on this podcast understand. And I love the Old Testament just because it reminds me like that God is a God who understands what it is to parent people who are given a flying flip about what you're saying. I think sometimes in the church we put pressure on ourselves to be the perfect parent and do XYZ, and our kids fall right into line and it's perfect. And when it's not, we feel almost like we have to hide that or cover that up because it means we missed something. And I feel like, God, we have a God who totally gets what it is to have kids who don't obey and ignore everything and do the exact opposite of what he says. And so that I love the patriarchs for that. But those books were really deep dive scriptural book, like studies. So if you're not a person of faith, you can scratch those out. But I feel like if you are, those were really beautiful, life-changing, deeply grounding me in understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she has some great books. Absolutely. And I think in a time of crisis like this, we all draw closer to God. We're all asking ourselves deeper questions and looking for that
Yeah.
rock that can kind of ground us back again.
Absolutely. I'm currently reading a book called Upended. Upended. And it is, so far, it is really scratching me where I itch. And so I said to my 3 adult daughters, hey, girls, I bought you a book. I've sent it to you. It should be coming soon. I want to get on a Zoom like this. And each week, you know, so while we're grouped up, let's go through this book together, because it's really about what it is to be an apprentice of Jesus. So, anyway.
That's good. I've not heard of that one.
Upended.
Oh, good. Good. Okay. I have one last question I've been dying to ask. And you've worked side by side with John for so long now. What's like the biggest lesson that you've learned from John as your mentor? What's it been like having him as a mentor?
Well, I could tell you a million things, as I'm sure you could tell me a million things of just reading his books tells you his heart. He is what he writes. I mean, that's really the heart of the man. And, you know, sometimes I've lived long enough that people have turned out to not be what they're saying the right thing, but they aren't practicing it in their private life. And that's what I love about John, is just, he is who he is. And not that he's perfect, but he's like somebody who practices what he says. I love that. So I would say the thing that has changed my life that he said was what I heard him say on a cassette tape when I was young. It might have even been when I was 21 or 22, before my kids were born. But he just said it was a cassette tape, and he was saying to add value to everyone you come in contact with. And then he got really practical about what that meant. Like, if he is getting into a taxi, he makes sure that he talks to the person and tries in some way to, in that moment, create an experience where that person feels seen and valued. And if he goes into a building to talk, that he likes to go through the crowd first. You know, a lot of speakers, I mean, I've spoken in crowds, you've spoken in crowds, maybe if you're listening and you've never spoken in a crowd, the temptation is to be so caught up in what you're going to say and the nerves of what you're going to say that you kind of isolate, trying to run it through your head and then step out onto the stage and deliver it the best way you can. And that's all about you. And that's all about me if I'm stuck like that. John talks about when he shows up, he goes out into the audience. He leaves his speaker handler behind stage and walks through the audience. And I have literally had people who have texted me and said, Traci, I was in the nosebleed section of a huge auditorium, and who walked up to my seat? Like, we were six rows down from the top of the whole auditorium, and there was John. And I have a picture of him with him in the dark. You like you could barely see, but he was up there. And those kinds of things that really taught me, you know. He said when he goes to speak, he just speaks out, and he goes, you know, and talks to the people in the crowd. Then he said he's been in the back. And now that I've been with him, I've seen him do it. After a speaker speaks in a big hotel conference room, there usually is, amazingly, in big hotels with conference rooms, there's this whole back area where the people who work in the food, back where all the workers are, where they're stacking chairs and plates, and you'd be amazed to see back there, if you've never been back there, how many stacked sky high are all these glasses in trays and plates in trays. And so there are people constantly working to make sure that things are served out through those little rooms. You never think about where are they coming from, or I didn't until I saw it. And so I've seen John, you know, grab people by the shoulder and have a moment with them where there's tears and beautiful moments. And so I learned from him very young. I try to teach it to my kids. I want to create an experience for people when I'm with people. I want to create an experience and try and access as many of their senses as possible. Now, obviously, like, don't play it too deeply. There's no taste happening when you're talking to people, but the other senses, like, I want to smell good. I want to have good breath. I want to have a nice scented, but not too heavy perfume. I want to have a nice look on my face where I'm not looking past them at anyone else, where they feel I'm really like the world melts away with just me and this person. I want to touch their hand. I want to grab their arm. I want to give them a hug if it's appropriate and it's a good time for that. I want to hear them to hear kindness in my voice. There's a great Mother Teresa quote, and I butcher it, but it was something like, when people see you, let them see kindness in your face, kindness in your voice, kindness in your expressions. And so, so that when people leave me, I don't care if they remember my name, but I want them to walk away. I might be the only person who touched them that day and put a hand on their shoulder or gave them a kind word of encouragement, so that what I learned from John is that I can do that for another person, and I will never see how it impacted them. And they might not remember me, but I hope they remember how they felt, and that they felt truly cared for in that moment. And so when you try to do that, it is so great, because let me just tell you, insecurities go away, not because they aren't there, but because you aren't focusing on them. You're focusing on someone else, and how can I serve this person and really love them with a moment, giving them a moment. And I learned that from John and turned it into what it meant to me. And I feel like that changed me as a person.
Right. That's fantastic. And great advice for right now is put your focus out on other people.
Yeah.
Calls it seeing people as a soul, not just a person's, that's giving you your coffee or handing you something or working and doing something. So I love that.
You know what else I heard? Let me just quickly add in. Somebody else said they were doing this, and I was like, that is something we should tell on every podcast, on every show. And that is, a friend of mine owns a gym. And so he had to, their whole family account is through this gym. I mean, all their income comes through this gym. Well, he had to freeze. It's a private little gym. He had to freeze 120 accounts. And the guy who he rents, who he pays for his mortgage to, is not giving him, I think he's a small business owner too, so he's not giving any wiggle room on monthly payments. And what has happened is he has had several clients call up and say, still bill my account to support him. Because now not everybody can do that, because maybe lots of people are in financial crisis, but there are a lot of people who are not in financial crisis because they work from home. Their job is still continuing on. And so I thought, how amazing. I've got it on my phone when my next hairdresser appointment is. And so I want to Venmo my hairdresser money, and I get my nails done. And so I'm going to Venmo my nail girl, because that's her whole livelihood for her family. And if you have a gardener or any service-oriented, your gym, your personal trainer, if you have the means to support somebody during this time, what a beautiful way of honoring and showing someone that you value them.
Yeah, that's such a great idea.
That's so true. And I think that's so good. We're going to end with that. About out of time. As bad as I hate it, I do not want this to end. Dana, is there any final question or thought you would like to hear from Traci before I wrap this up?
I asked my final question. Did you have one? I could ask Traci questions all day long. So
why don't we turn it and do this? Traci, is there one thing we should have asked you that we didn't?
There you go.
I'm so glad you asked. I actually do have one thing that popped up to my mind as soon as you said that. So that's meant to be, I guess. My biggest thing is I want to encourage everybody who's listening. I don't know when this is going to air and where we'll be at in the pandemic in the whole process of it, but this is going to pass. And the sooner that we can look for the beautiful moments and the ways that we can really, how many times have we said, oh, I don't have the time to do that. I don't have the time to do that. Even if it's just picking weeds in your garden, go out there and do it. Don't, we might be tempted to stay in our jammies all day, and I won't fault anybody for that. But if you remember that we're working from home and get on a schedule, it helps with your mental health, with all of our mental health, to get up, make our bed so we don't crawl back in it when we start to feel disconnected from everybody. And if you feel disconnected, reach out to somebody, set your schedule, live by a new norm, create a new norm. You and your kids, if you have them, we all thrive in routine. So if we can set up a new norm and new routine and write it up. I have a whiteboard I moved in from my garage into the house so my boys can see it and they can check off things and feel accomplished. Set a new schedule so you can feel good. Get dressed, brush your teeth, do all the things you normally did. And then if you feel disconnected, reach out and encourage someone. Maybe make a list today as you listen to this. Make a list today of someone you want to write a letter to. I have my sons. I said, I know you have cell phones, but I want you to start writing your cousins and your grandparents during this time.
Yeah.
Like, it's so easy. We could just text. I said, right. But let's go old school a little bit. Let your grandparents see your handwriting. Ask your grandparents any questions that you want to ask them. And so they've begun writing letters. And so make a list of people you can call, you can write letters to. And there's a really beautiful there's a really beautiful connecting piece in all of this that if we look for it, it's right there for us to see.
Love it.
Love that.
Thank you so much, Traci. That is amazing. So remember, if you have a question or a challenge or anything that Dana and I can help you with, be sure and reach out to us at info@everything life and real estate. And if you'd like to be a guest on our podcast, just submit to us your challenge or your information that you have about your business and your life, where it is, to us at info@everything life and real estate. And remember, the more you tell us about the situation, the more we're going to be able to help you with that challenge. And the more we'll be able to give you input on that. So I just want to say, Traci, thank you so much for joining us today. And Dana, I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Traci. You are awesome.
Thanks for having me.
See you, Linda.
Be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to inspire you to live an abundant real estate life. Don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you the best content. Find this and other valuable information at everythinglifeandrealestate.com.